Hello. All right. Here we are. Not that. Don't want that. Let's see here now. How is everyone doing today? Let me turn my screen on here. Right. Give it a second. Start broadcast. So, if you saw my note in, let's see, get this right here. This should. Hold on. Just trying to get things rolling here. All right, there we go. Now we're set. All right, now get that thing. There it goes. All right. Hey, welcome everyone. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws, and this is our Wednesday afternoon live. We always get together on Wednesday afternoons at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and we always draw something that has to do with the portraiture. And this being Wednesday, that's what we do. On Mondays, we do that for landscapes. Same time, but that's on Monday. We also have a great Facebook group. I would encourage you to join. There is a link down in the description. And that's pretty much what we got. We've got John in the house, Geraldine, and Trash TV, Trash Team TV. It doesn't get much better than that. So, as you see, what we usually do is I will post a number of photos that the group gets to vote on, and they've voted, and another picture won. And I sat down this afternoon and started to work it out, and I realized, you know what? This is going to be way too hard for our group, and I decided, I'm sorry, last minute, to switch it over to one of the others that came in second place. So if you came in expecting to draw the other picture, which I'm not sure, do I have it here? I might. Let me see if there it is. If you came in expecting to draw this picture, I've left that in our Facebook group, so you can take a look at that and try that on your own. But I started working out the angles, and I thought, you know what? This is not supposed to be a nightmare. This is supposed to try and be a little fun and teach you some things. So that's why I switched. So my apology if you expected a different image. So we're going to go with this, and I hope that you like it. So with that being said, I am monitoring the live chat. So if you have a question or if I go too fast, please shout out, and let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I want to do is let's talk about generally drawing the face. Okay, so I usually approach drawing a portrait with this basic idea where I try and envision the head from a 2D axis to a 3D axis to trying to determine where the placement of the face is. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to show you here. Let me switch this over. Okay, so let's on your paper there, just come in here and go ahead and draw 3 different spheres. And usually we always start the head by drawing a sphere. It's a good approach. And I have next to me, oh, look at that. I've got my little skull from downstairs. So you can really see why we start off with a sphere. If you look at the back of the head, it has a very sphere-like quality to it. You see that? So we start off with drawing a sphere, and the next thing we want to do is determine whether the head is tilted to the right or if it's tilted to the left. Okay, that would be considered the 2D axis. So if we come over here, this head might be tilted a little bit to its left. This one might be tilted to the right, and this one is straight up and down, all right? That's the main axis of the head. The next thing we ask ourselves, is the head coming forward towards us, or is it going away, all right? So that would be the 3D axis. So on we'll call this A and B and C, okay? So on A, let's say the head's coming towards us a little bit. Well, then we're going to draw this axis. We're going to draw that like an equator or the brow line coming towards us like this, you see? If B was turning away from us, it was falling away, we would draw it like this. And of course, if C will also make C slightly falling away, we're going to draw it like this. All right, so that's the 2D axis. And then next thing is the 3D axis. And then last is the placement of the face. All right, so let's take a look at that. So here on A, let's just say the face is pointing in this direction. Well, we're going to use a center line, all right, to help us determine where we're going to draw all the facial features. So here we'll drop a center line down, right down the center like that. Let's say in B, this was looking in this direction here. Okay, we're going to drop that center line like that. And over here, let's put the center line right over here. So this is, I'll tell you what, let's do this on C. Let's put the center line so this is like a profile because that's what we're going to draw today. So once I have the 2D axis, the 3D axis, and the face determined, the next thing I look for is what is called the T of the face. Okay, what is the T of the face? Well, if you look at my head here, and if I had a line that went across my brow line, and then a center line, you see that forms a T. So that's what we want to put in next. And the edges, the outside edges of this T right here correspond to the temples. And you could take your fingers and feel them right there, all right? So that one's gonna be right there, and then this one is gonna be right over here, okay? So that's gonna be the T of that face there. Let's come over here to B and do the same thing. So a temple is gonna be there, and a temple is gonna be there. So that's the T of the face right there. And then over here, since it's a profile, you would only see one side of that T, and that's going to go right to the temple there. Okay, now it's time for me to bring in my my trusty friend here, and I want to point out a couple things. So right here where my fingers are, this is where the temples are. Okay, that's where the temples are. And when you're looking straight at a face or a head, usually the sides are quite flat. But then when you turn a skull on its side, you still have the flatness per se, but then the back end is quite round. You see that? So let's incorporate that into our drawings here. So starting with A, and this temple, what we're going to do is it's kind of simulate the idea that this head is sliced. The side of it is. Over here on B, let's go ahead and slice that as well. It's going to be something like that. And then over here on C, since it's going to be a profile, and you'll see this shortly, this is going to be the side of the head. All right. All right, let's jump back to A now. So what we're going to do now that that is flat, we could draw a straight line down here. And then B is going to also have a straight line down the side of it. And of course, C is also going to have a line straight down the center of it. On A, then, next thing what you're going to get on the side here is you're going to have this jawline drop down, and then it's going to sweep. It's going to sweep underneath the head there, you see? So let's do that. So we're going to come down just a little bit there on A. There's the chin, and look, it's kind of, that chin is parallel to the brow line, and then this sweeps around. Over here, this is going to be a little bit flat, and then it's going to sweep around. Same thing over here, all right? We're going to come down here just a little bit here. Let's get that line in for the chin, and then this is going to sweep around. And then this is going to sweep in this way. On C, you're going to drop it down just a little bit. And then this is going to sweep around like this. This is the basics. I don't mean it's the basics. What I mean is this is your main ingredient. You want to get really good at drawing this basic form, okay? It will really lead to some good construction. Meaning you build, once you establish these four items, the 2D, the 3D, the face, and then the T, now you can start adding all the other pieces, and you will keep it in proportion, you see? All right, the next part, what I usually like to add is the visor. And the visor is going to be this part of the head, this part right here, and I can show you over here, where it goes angled and then it comes down, okay? And that's where you get the cheekbone in. So let's look at that here. So it's going to come in slightly like this. You're going to say that the nose is almost halfway between the brow line and the chin. So that visor is going to come right down here. And it's a wedge that is cut out of it. All right, let's go over to B and do it over to B. So B is going to come in slightly. Well, about halfway. And then this, I say halfway, but this, of course, varies. This will vary all the time with, depends on the individual. And then over here on C, this is going to come over here. All right, we can kind of go halfway there. All right, so let's make an adjustment now to our center line. So A center line is going to follow the form. It's going to come in. It's going to go back out like that. B is going to follow the form there and then come back out. And of course, C is a profile, so it will be like that. All right, let's get the A. Let's come into. I'll give you a minute here. I'm sorry. All right, let's place the nose. Let me show you how the nose will work now. So if you were to think of the nose, just think of the nose as this idea here. We're just kind of like playing with shapes and volumes. So the nose is going to come up, almost sit right in this area there. You see? Same thing over here, and you could almost think like this. A tunnel or a mass like this. Then right below that, I'm going to show you these next little pieces kind of quickly. This is going to be the barrel of the mouth. The barrel of the mouth is this round area, and you can see that right here as well. See the barrel of the mouth? It's like a ball. You see this makes your lips go right around like that. It goes right below, right behind the nose, right over here, right below underneath the chin. So then we get a block for our chin. And of course, then your eyeballs are going to sit right in here. This eyeball is going to be a little bit hidden because of that nose. And the last thing I want to place for you is the ear. Now the ear is going to be in this lower left quadrant, just like this. Just like that. And it's going to be over here. It's going to be here. Ooh, I went too fast on that last little grouping there. So give yourself, I won't do anything here for 30 seconds. Let you grab all that stuff. Just get it in place. Last little tidbit I want to show you now is what I call the Fantastic Four. I like that. Fantastic Four. These aren't superheroes. They're four things that line up. All right. So what happens, and you can actually see it on this head over here. So what happens is you get the back of the neck. On C, I'm looking at it's back of the neck. Bottom of the ear, jaw, bottom of the nose. Those four things usually line up in the face. All right. So over here on A, it would be back of neck, bottom of the ear, cheekbone, bottom of the nose. Over here on B, it's going to be back of the neck, bottom of the ear, cheekbone, bottom of the nose. Okay, that should give you a pretty good overview. So I would that's something that you might want to you could look at pictures and just practice those forms over and over again to get them really that would be a great way to practice on your own. Don't worry about getting the likeness. Just try and draw those over and over until you have really put them into your memory. All right. If there are no questions, let's go ahead and jump into today's picture. jump into today's picture here. Okay, let's go ahead and start off. Remember our three things: 2D, 3D, and face placement. All right, so let's go ahead and start off with a nice sphere. And the first question we have to ask ourselves: what is the 2D position? Well, she's standing straight up. So there isn't a, she's neither leaning to the left nor is she leaning to the right. So our facial position, our sphere is going to be straight up and down. That's our 2D position. Now, is she leaning her head forward or is she leaning it back? Well, she's doing neither of those. She's also, head is straight up. She is not tilting to the right, nor is she tilting to the left. So the 3D position is, she's just straight up and down. So we can actually come in here and then and put her brow line in. All right, let's get the face so let's put the front of let's come down with the front of her face there. We could do that. All right, next let's find the T. Let's find the T of her face. So what I'm looking for are the temples of her head. And right away, if this is her brow line, which is going to be right there, that temple, the temple is going to be right there. You see that? Okay, let's go ahead and slice off half of the side of her head here. All right, so the side of her head is going to come up here. It's going to turn the corner and come down over here. Okay, let's put the center line there of the side of her head. And then we know that her chin, or her ear is going to come right in here. Look at the side view of this. That's where the ear goes. That's where her ear canal is going, right in there. All right, halfway. All right, next. This is the front tip there. Okay, here's the bottom of her ear, right? Let's come over here now and put a line in here. This is going to give us an idea where that bottom of that nose is going to go. Now we could look at that distance there, which is going to be here. And now look at this. There is her bottom of the chin. So the bottom half in her case isn't exactly half. So we can make that adjustment. So it's going to be just a little bit lower. Okay, let's go ahead in here and drop her jaw just a bit, and then sweep this around just. Okay, let's get this visor in, right? So we're going to come in like this. Come in here. Now, this isn't her nose yet. We haven't placed that in place yet. All right, here's her neck. Okay, where's this? Let's kind of place that neck there. It's almost exactly halfway. You see that? So we're going to come in halfway, and it's going to come in like this. So underneath her chin here, you could see that you have skin down here, right? So this is going to come around like this. And then we have her chin down here like this. When I talk about construction gives way to likeness, this is exactly what I mean, that we are constructing this head. Okay, I'm going to erase some of these arrows here. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my head just a little bit bigger. Okay, let's work on this nose here first. So we've got this where this is going to be the cheek, right? So let's come out here. This is the very outer edge. So let's get this nostril in now. And when I draw the nose, a lot of these things on the side, I'm just going to build up on top of each other. feel way off, but I will, yeah, trust the process. Just trust it. It will, all I could say is, trash TV, all I could say is that it's like conducting an orchestra. You have the proportion section, and then you have the shape section, then you have the where the more not artistic but maybe the jazzy section, and you're trying to get all these different groups to work together and you're the conductor. So you'll get this. Just takes time. All right. And then there's adjustments. You'll make adjustments. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump right into this eye. And the one thing I want to point out to you when you draw the eye is our point of view is we are looking up at this girl. Okay, we're not looking directly. So if you were to draw an eye looking from the side view, all right, so there's your eyeball. You would probably do something like this. Kind of what it might look like from the side view. But we're not looking at it, we're looking up at it. So it's going to have a little bit different take on it. So let's first get this round surface there. I'm going to show you this. We're going to go in close here so you could see this. Here's the corner of her eye right there. All right. And then look at that the lower lid is down below there. So let's make sure that when we put that in, that we are doing that. And the other thing, look at that top eyelid right there. It's almost like going over flat, okay? So let's put those in here. So we're gonna start high here. We're gonna come in low. And this is almost looking flat. All right, look at her. You could see just a little bit of her eyelid there. All right, so let's get that in place. So we're gonna give ourselves something like that. And then there's a deep shadow, right? Let's get the shadow in and make sure the shadow is toward the top of the eye. Okay, let's continue here. Let's look at where her eyebrow is, and her eyebrow starts. Her eyebrow starting like right down here. You see that? Let's get that in place. And then it stops almost right about here. All right, let's get the shadow up here, and we're going to come in here with an even tone. And then it is also going to be over here. All right. Barrel of the mouth, this is going to be somewhat round here, like this. Now let's use some vertical lines of measurement here. All right, so that's the back of her nose there, right? There's a vertical alignment. Here's the back corner of her eye. Okay, so you could kind of get an idea of about where her lips are going to fall. But be careful, this is important here. So let's just draw the top lip there. We're going to come in here like this. It's going to come in down. But then the bottom lip, look at that angle. Look at that angle right there. You see that? I'll give you a second to try that out. Okay, let's come over here to the nose then, all right, on our drawing. We're going to give it a slight curve like this, right? There's that angle. From the nose, okay. Okay, now I can go ahead and get that top lip in. Okay, look very carefully at the shape of that, of how the bottom lip overlaps that. Okay. I'm going to use my eraser here, just so you know, I'm going to chisel. I really want that bottom lip to be sharp. Okay. All right, let's get a little tone into this chin, bottom of this chin here. All right. Let's go ahead and start working on this bandana she's got back here. So this is where I could tell you right now, I have elongated my head. You see that? But that's okay, because we can make adjustments. I can make adjustments as I'm going along, all right? So what I want to do now is use the idea of a shape. Look at this. Look at this. Oops. Let's go up here. I'm going to use this idea. Look at this. I'm going to use this idea as a shape. Okay. That's what I'm going to look for in order to get the correct width. So let's see here. I'm going to come up. I'm going to go lightly here. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So look at where my earlobe is. Actually, my ear should probably be up just a little bit like that. And now I'm going to adjust the back of my head here to compensate for this. There you go. That looks much better. Okay. Let's kind of get this braid that's coming in. So the way we're going to draw this braid is we're going to look for the containment, meaning the outside edges first. So I'm going to come down here and look, this is interesting. This is also very interesting. Look at the distance between the front of her neck and that braid. You see that shape in there? Okay, let's be careful of that when we put that braid in. So I'm going to come in like this. This is one side. And then that's going to be the other side. And then she has the braid that we could see coming on the other side of her head right there. Okay. I'll give you 30 seconds here. Let's get the back of her handkerchief or her cloth that she has on her head there. This folded over wrinkle is going to be right about there. Okay, now look at this. All right, you have the wrinkle there, so now look at this. Look at this shape of this one back here. This is almost like a triangle. You see that? Let's put that one in as well. Then we also have this one here. It's small, but it's an obvious shape. So let's also add that. Okay, so I'm just going to add a couple more shapes here for these, for her head scarf. And I think this is the back of her neck right there. And this head scarf is going on the far side of her head. You see that? All right, let's get this, let's work on this braid here for a minute. So we have the outside edges of this braid. So let's get into and really think of how these pieces are coming together here. So I'm gonna start with this one right there. And I'm just going to come up here like this. And, you know, you want to slow down here when you do this. Because if you go too fast, that will stand out. That braid scares me. Well, just go lightly and just think of it as pieces. when you have something like this, you just really you just got to slow down and really think through it. And it may take you a couple times to draw those shapes over again. So on this braid, that's where it gets right into those areas there. Let's just darken this up. I'm going to use surface lines. And what I should have done is I should have started off with a bit of an overall tone over that entire braid. Last thing I really want to do before you go anywhere, before we go, is look at the value on her headscarf compared to the value of her face. You see that? You see those changes? So take your pencil by the back end and let's just drop in an even value over her entire face. Now this might require you to go back in and darken some of your values. All right. Last thing I'm going to do here is come in here and get this, give a little curve on that scarf there. And I want to bring in just a few hairs coming in from that scarf. Now there's some shadows I need to add to that scarf there, but I'll let you take care of those on your own. All right. I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And please join our Facebook groups. Please give the page a like and leave a comment there. I do appreciate everybody, and I'm glad that you're all here. Hey, my name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, we will talk to you later. All right, bye-bye.